What if a single moment, captured only by trembling breaths, glistening tears, and Jimin's stunned expression, could rewrite everything we thought we knew about BTS's unity and raise the terrifying question: is Jungkook truly preparing to leave the group? The room seemed to hold its breath the moment Jungkook lowered his head and wiped away the tears that had been silently streaming down his cheeks. Fans who watched the footage felt the atmosphere shift instantly, as if something deep, unspoken, and unbearably heavy had exploded behind those quiet sobs. But what truly caused a global shockwave was Jimin's reaction, wide-eyed, frozen, and trembling, as though he had just discovered a truth he had desperately hoped was not real. Jimin's expression wasn't merely surprise. It wasn't confusion. It was a deeply emotional mix of heartbreak, fear, and disbelief, an expression that left millions of fans asking, what exactly had Jungkook said before the cameras stopped rolling? Why was he crying so intensely? And why did Jimin look like he was watching everything fall apart? Rumors had already been circulating for weeks about Jungkook considering a temporary hiatus, a change in direction, or even something far more drastic. But no one, absolutely no one, expected a moment like this, one that feels like a clue, a sign, or perhaps a silent confession. And now fans all around the world are asking the same burning question: is Jungkook really preparing to leave BTS? What follows is a deep, emotional, clue-driven, academic yet dramatic exploration of everything that led to this moment. The rumors, the reactions, the hidden messages, the surprises, the emotional turmoil, and the heartbreaking possibility that lies behind Jungkook's tears and Jimin's shocked response. The incident that started it all. Jungkook's tears that couldn't be hidden. Footage began like any other behind-the-scenes recording, with Jungkook quietly adjusting his mic, brushing his hair aside, and offering the camera a faint, tired smile. But attentive viewers noticed something strange almost immediately. His smile didn't reach his eyes. His movements were slower, heavier, burdened. Then, without warning, Jungkook's voice cracked. He wasn't singing. He wasn't performing. He wasn't joking around the way he usually does to lighten the atmosphere. Instead, he whispered something inaudible, something that even the mic failed to catch, and his shoulders began to shake. The tears followed instantly, rolling down his cheeks in a way that showed this wasn't just stress. It wasn't exhaustion. It wasn't pressure from a tight schedule. This was heartbreak. This was fear. This was something he had been holding in for far too long. And then the camera caught it, Jimin standing a few steps away, suddenly freezing with an expression that sent chills down every fan's spine. Jimin didn't rush toward him the way he usually does when one of the members cries. He didn't laugh awkwardly or make a joke to break the tension. He didn't smile reassuringly or offer a comforting hand. Instead, he stood completely still. His face was pale. His eyes were wide. He looked like someone who had just heard the one sentence he hoped he would never hear in his life, something about Jungkook's tears. Something he said right before the sobs came shattered Jimin. And because the audio was too quiet, viewers could only speculate. Theories exploded across the internet within minutes. What if Jungkook said he couldn't continue? What if he said he needed to step away? What if he said he was thinking of leaving? The silence that followed became louder than any screamed, the rumor that won't die. Is Jungkook leaving BTS? Rumors of Jungkook's potential departure have been circulating for months, but no one took them seriously, not fans, not the media, not even other K-pop insiders. Seemed ridiculous. Jungkook is the youngest member, the golden magne, the one who once said he couldn't imagine a life without the 6 brothers who shaped him, raised him, and stood beside him through everything. But things began to change subtly, almost invisibly, in recent months. He became quieter during group interviews. He started avoiding certain emotional topics. He became more reflective, often lost in deep thought. His schedule took on a mysterious, almost secretive tone. And now this moment, Jungkook crying uncontrollably, followed by Jimin's shocked expression, feels like the final piece of a puzzle that fans didn't want to complete. People began asking questions, each one more painful than the last. What if Jungkook is struggling behind the scenes? What if the pressure finally became too much? What if he wants to explore something new, a different direction, a different path? What if he feels guilty about hurting the members? What if Jimin knew it was coming? The emotional weight of these questions is almost unbearable, but they keep emerging because the signs cannot be ignored anymore. What did Jimin see? Why was his reaction so extreme? To understand Jimin's reaction, we need to consider the bond between him and Jungkook. Their relationship is not just friendship. It's years of shared struggle, guidance, sacrifices, and mutual support. Jimin has always been the older brother figure who pushed Jungkook to grow, both emotionally and artistically. So why did Jimin freeze when Jungkook started crying? Fans have several theories, each more heartbreaking than the last. Theory 1. Jimin already knew something was wrong. People believe Jimin had been noticing Jungkook's internal conflict long before the cameras caught this moment. His shocked reaction wasn't confusion, it was fear that Jungkook had finally reached a breaking point. Theory 2. Jungkook confessed something too painful to hear. Some fans think Jungkook whispered something like, "Hyung, I don't know if I can do this anymore," or "Hyung, I'm thinking of stepping away." If this is true, it explains why Jimin looked like someone had just stabbed him in the heart. Theory 3. Jimin realized he couldn't stop Jungkook's decision. Perhaps the most devastating theory is that Jimin already knew Jungkook was considering a major change, but hearing it spoken aloud made it real. The clues fans are obsessively analyzing, and the internet has become a battlefield of clues, theories, and emotional breakdowns as fans try to piece together the truth. Every detail is being scrutinized. Clue 1. Jungkook's recent lyrics. His recent songs carry themes of freedom, self-identity, detachment, independence, conflict, yearning, and emotional confusion. Many fans now believe these lyrics were hidden messages about his struggles. Clue 2. His body language. He has been quieter, more reserved, and often looks like he's holding back tears. Clue 3. Jimin's unusual silence. Jimin, who usually rushes to defend Jungkook or comfort him publicly, has been uncharacteristically quiet. He has avoided mentioning Jungkook in recent interactions, almost as if trying not to make the situation worse. Clue 4. A private meeting among the members. Multiple insiders reported an emergency meeting among BTS members earlier this week. No one knows what was discussed, but many believe it was related to Jungkook's emotional state. The moment everything snapped, when Jungkook said, "I'm sorry." An audio-enhanced version of the video, created by fans, seems to reveal Jungkook saying two words before breaking down, "I'm sorry." But sorry for what? Sorry for worrying them. Sorry for being emotional? Or sorry because he feels like he might disappoint them with a decision he's been struggling to make? Jimin's reaction suggests he knows exactly what Jungkook meant. The unspoken bond between Jimin and Jungkook. This entire situation becomes even more emotional when we consider how deeply connected the two are. Jimin has always been one of Jungkook's emotional pillars, someone he trusts enough to cry in front of. And Jimin always said that Jungkook was like his own younger brother. To see Jungkook cry like that, so raw, so vulnerable, must have felt like a personal heartbreak for Jimin. Fans believe Jimin's expression wasn't just shocked, it was pain, it was fear, it was the grief of someone who might be losing something precious. What fans fear most? A potential affordable. No one wants to imagine BTS without Jungkook. The idea alone is painful enough to bring fans to tears. But this incident has opened a floodgate of fears. Would BTS ever be the same without Jungkook? Would the dynamic change forever? Would the members be able to continue together if one decided to step away? Would ARMY be able to handle such a loss? Would the world ever recover from such a shock? Rumors suggest that Jungkook might be considering a break, not a full departure. But the lack of clarity is only fueling panic. Jimin's follow-up action. The silent message that spoke louder than WRDS hours. After the video went viral, Jimin posted something cryptic. One single sentence. "When someone cries that hard, you don't ask why. You just stay beside them." Fans immediately assumed this was about Jungkook. But then he added another line. "Sometimes the people we love the most are the ones we fail to protect." This was what broke fans completely. Was Jimin blaming himself? Was he implying that Jungkook had been suffering alone? Was he mourning a decision that Jungkook had already made? His words were heavy, emotional, and heartbreaking. The future of BTS. Uncertain, fragile, and filled with questions right now. No one knows what will happen next. The only certainty is that Jungkook's tears and Jimin's reaction have opened a storm of speculation that cannot be contained. Will Jungkook stay? Will he leave temporarily? Is there something bigger happening behind the scenes? Are the members preparing for a major announcement? Is BTS entering a new era? One that might look very different from the last decade. Fans remain divided between fear and hope. But one thing is unmistakably clear. Jungkook is struggling, Jimin is hurting, and BTS is facing one of The most emotional and uncertain moments in their history, the final question that haunts every fan. What happens if Jungkook walks away? Would BTS ever be the same? Would ARMY ever recover? Would the brotherhood survive such a painful shift? Would Jungkook regret it? Would the members hold on to him tighter, refusing to let him go? The world waits. ARMY waits, and Jimin, heartbroken, silent, and shaken, seems to be waiting too. Whether Jungkook leaves or stays, one thing is certain: this moment will be remembered forever as the day the world realized that even the strongest idols crumble, even the brightest stars cry, and even the closest brothers can face moments that threaten to tear everything apart. And until Jungkook speaks, until BTS explains, until the truth finally surfaces, all we have are tears, questions, clues, heartbreak, and the terrifying thought that BTS may never be the same again. The world responds. Global panic as Jungkook leaving BTS? Trends #1 in minutes of the emotional clip spreading across social media. Panic swept the globe. The hashtag Jungkook leaving BTS surged to the #1 trending topic worldwide, causing an online meltdown that few celebrity incidents have ever matched. Fans in South Korea gathered outside HYBE with banners demanding answers. Millions on Weverse wrote long, emotional messages begging Jungkook not to make a decision he would regret. International fans began sharing videos of themselves crying, shaking, or sending heartfelt pleas. It wasn't just sadness, it was grief. The kind of grief that comes from losing something precious, something irreplaceable. The world's reaction made one thing clear: if Jungkook even thought about leaving, it would shatter millions of hearts. But the question that kept resurfacing was, what pushed him to this point? And more importantly, why was Jimin the one who reacted as though he had already known the truth? The insiders speak. The members are trying to hold him together. Entertainment insiders who are notoriously quiet when it comes to BTS began speaking out subtly. None dared to say too much, but their vague comments only fueled more fear. One insider said, Jungkook has been carrying more pressure than people realize. Another added, some members have been worried about him for months. But the most chilling comment came from someone who has worked with BTS during album productions. Jimin's reaction makes sense if you know what happened last week. What happened last week? What information is being hidden from the public? Why did Jimin look like someone who had been prepared for heartbreak? The silence from HYBE and the members only deepened the mystery. Jin and RM's unusual behavior. Another silly. Fans also started noticing strange behavior from Jin and RM during recent appearances. Jin, usually the calm, comedic eldest brother, appeared more serious than usual. His eyes looked swollen, as if he had cried earlier. When asked about future activities, his voice faltered. RM, who always speaks with clarity and leadership, seemed hesitant in his last interview. He kept glancing at the members as if checking their emotional states. Some fans pointed out that RM's jaw clenched when Jungkook's name was mentioned. It almost felt like the older members were hiding something. Something they didn't want to reveal. Something that pained them deeply. ARMY began connecting the dots, asking, were the members preparing for an announcement? Were they trying to stop Jungkook from leaving? Were they emotionally breaking behind the scenes? The tension was becoming unbearable. The hidden message in Jungkook's live. Fans discover something. Shocking. A week before the tearful video surfaced, Jungkook held a late-night live performance. At the time, fans thought nothing unusual about it. But after the incident, ARMY began rewatching the live, searching for clues they might have missed. And then they found something. Near the end of the live, Jungkook says softly, sometimes you reach a moment where you don't know who you're doing it for anymore. Fans assumed he was talking about creative struggles, but now, that sentence feels like a warning. A confession, not a hint. He also added, I don't want to disappoint anyone, but I also want to be honest with myself. These words, combined with the emotional breakdown, have now been interpreted as a cry for help, a sign that Jungkook was torn between his personal desires and the expectations placed upon him. Had Jungkook been silently battling this decision for months? Jimin's pain. He was crying before the camera even rolled. A staff member who wished to remain anonymous revealed something that left fans devastated. According to this staffer, Jungkook had already been crying before the camera was turned on. Jimin was the first to notice. He approached Jungkook, spoke to him quietly, and tried to calm him down. But Jungkook kept apologizing, tears already streaming down his face. The staffer claimed, Jimin looked terrified. He kept saying, "Don't say it, don't say it." What was Jungkook trying to say? Why didn't Jimin want to hear it? This new information triggered a global emotional collapse among fans. It painted a tragic picture, one where Jungkook's tears weren't sudden, but the result of weeks or months of emotional pressure, and Jimin's reaction. It wasn't shock. It was heartbreak. The heartbreak of someone who knew this moment was coming. The letter. Jungkook may have written a private message to the members unverified, but widely discussed rumors claim Jungkook may have written a personal letter to the members. Some insiders say the letter was heartfelt, emotional, and deeply apologetic. One insider hinted. The members cried a lot after reading it. If true, this could be the smoking gun behind their recent emotional behavior. Did Jungkook write a letter announcing something big? Did he express a desire to step away? Was he apologizing for a future decision? These questions grew louder as fans started to panic, imagining the worst possible scenario. The fear no one wants to say out loud. Is this the end of an era? For the first time in years, fans are genuinely scared. Not because of a rumor created by tabloids, but because of something they watched with their own eyes. Jungkook's tears weren't entertainment. They weren't staged. They weren't exaggerated. They were real. They were painful. They were the tears of a man who might be carrying a burden too heavy to hold, and Jimin's expression, shocked, broken, terrified, felt like the reaction of someone watching a chapter close right in front of him. The idea of Jungkook leaving BTS is unthinkable, impossible. But now, fans are asking, what if the impossible is becoming reality? The possibility of a temporary break. A hopeful but uncertain for all theories are tragic. Some believe Jungkook isn't leaving permanently, only taking a much-needed break. Burnout, pressure, exhaustion, fear of disappointing others. These factors can break even the strongest idols. Perhaps Jungkook doesn't want to quit, he just wants to breathe. But then the question becomes, why did Jimin react like this if it was just a short break? Why were the members so emotional? Why did Jungkook say, "I'm sorry"? Something deeper is happening, the fans plea. Please don't leave us, Jungkook. Thousands of fans gathered online to write letters, prayers, and emotional messages for Jungkook. Some begged him to stay. Others told him they would support him no matter what his decision was. One fan wrote, "We don't want your tears to be the last memory we have before you go." Another wrote, "Even if you walk away, we will wait for you. Just don't cry alone anymore." The emotional impact of the incident has transcended fandom. It has become a global conversation about pressure, mental health, and the pain of expectations. The uncertain future. What comes next? As of right now, the members remain silent. HYB remains silent. Jungkook hasn't posted anything. Jimin hasn't followed up. And fans are left in a state of anxiety, fear, and heartbreaking anticipation. Will Jungkook address the rumors? Will BTS release a statement? Will Jimin explain his reaction? Will the truth confirm the worst fears or bring relief? Only time will reveal the truth behind Jungkook's emotional tears and Jimin's shocking reaction. But one thing is painfully clear. This moment will go down as one of the most emotionally devastating and mysterious incidents in BTS history. And until answers come, the world remains suspended between hope and heartbreak, praying that the golden magne will find his way back to the light, and that BTS's brotherhood will survive whatever storm is silently raging behind closed doors. The moment BTS went silent, a signal that something bigger is happening. ARMY noticed something chilling in the hours and days after Jungkook's tearful moment went viral. The group went completely silent. No casual Weverse posts, no behind-the-scenes pictures, no playful comments from the members, no "don't worry, we're fine" reassurance. This total silence from BTS, who usually communicate with fans often, felt like an invisible alarm, a sign, a warning. Fandom culture experts pointed out that when idols go silent at the same time, it usually means they are either preparing for a big announcement or dealing with something deeply emotional behind the scenes. But this time the silence felt heavier, more suffocating, almost like the members themselves were grieving. Some fans even said, "It feels like BTS is holding its breath, and we're holding ours with them." And the silence continued, raising questions that cut straight into the heart of every ARMY. Are the members trying to protect Jungkook? Or are they preparing us for something heartbreaking? The psychology behind Jungkook's breakdown. Experts weigh in. Psychologists and behavioral experts, who often analyze celebrity mental health based on public footage, began quietly offering their interpretations. One expert said, Jungkook's crying wasn't random. It was the result of prolonged internal conflict. His tears show emotional overload, guilt, and a fear of disappointing loved ones. Another added, his apology before crying suggests he believes he is causing pain to people close to him. But the most unsettling expert comment was this. Jimin's reaction indicates he was expecting this breakdown, but was not emotionally ready to face it. Experts agreed on one thing. Whatever Jungkook is struggling with is not minor. It is emotional, personal, and tied to his identity within BTS. Jimin's private struggle. Signs he has been hurting. Fans began re-examining Jimin's recent behavior as well, and what they found was heartbreaking. Over the past month, Jimin has avoided extra interviews, appeared quieter in group schedules, been seen with red, swollen eyes, posted messages about fighting silent battles, frequently touched his chest, a habit he has when anxious. Some fans realized they had overlooked these signs because they never imagined Jimin's pain might be connected to Jungkook's. This revelation created a new heartbreaking question. Has Jimin been silently carrying this emotional burden alone, trying to protect Jungkook while falling apart himself?